Atlas Reporting for Microsoft Dynamics CRM, Filters and Lookups. In the last chapter, you were briefly introduced to filters when building your US opportunity snippet. In that example, you apply the filter to the query so that Atlas only returned the information you needed for that specific task. The other way to apply a filter is to the report. When used in this way, it allows users to sort the data in a number of different ways to achieve more than one objective. An example of a report that is filtered by account types enables various teams to use that same report to filter the report by the accounts that they manage. Another example would be when comparing accounts of a different nature. A filter can be applied to the inquiry itself or to the report. Filter expressions can be simple or complex and can include fields from other related tables. When building a new report or query, by default, the auto report fields you selected initially are displayed as an option to use as a filter. Although you can add or subtract other fields, you can use the filter as you see fit. Some examples of the filters you can apply. Return data between date ranges. Return data with a value less than or greater than a specific value. To return all account with a prefix containing a full or partial word. Filters must be expressed in a manner that is compatible with those used in your business systems. They can be described in various ways, including literal values typed directly into the filter criteria column of the Filters tab, by reference to a single cell that displays the filter value in the document, by reference to a range of cells in the document, or by reference to a name range, a table lookup, or document custom properties. Generally, for good practice, you would always begin a new report or query using a snippet if one resides within your library suitable for your needs. Because snippets can also contain additional saved functionality such as uploads and drill downs, reuse can save you considerable time when building a new report or editing an existing report. Your objectives. At the end of this section, you will be able to understand what a filter is, how to apply a filter, how to identify two different times in which you would apply a filter to either the query or the report, and to understand what a lookup is, and understand when a lookup is used. Your scenario. You've been asked to deliver a report that shows the total revenue last year and the current sales revenue to date for all the open US sales accounts. The report is to also contain a count of any open opportunities related to that account, regardless of time or date. The report needs to be filtered by account number and relationship type so that it only contains accounts that are a customer or a reseller in nature. You've built the report and now you just simply need to apply the filters. Your first step would be to apply a filter to the query so that only the US accounts are returned from Dynamics CRM. Open your Dynamics CRM Introduction to Reporting workbook and go to the second tab. The report that you built in Chapter 4 should be available. Select a cell within that report so that Atlas knows your intentions are to work with that report. From the Atlas ribbon, select Filter. And from within the Inspector pane, click on the plus icon to add your filter field. Add the account number field from the Add Filters account property window by placing a tick in the corresponding box. Configure the filter for the account number field by clicking on the orange cog located at the end of the field name. Enter US* into the Apply Filter text area. Note that the field turns blue when Atlas recognizes the filter. Close the account number properties window and click Update. The report now only shows US accounts due to the Atlas only asking CRM for the accounts beginning with a prefix of US. Lookup function. This is primarily to return a non-numeric code or multiple non-numeric codes from a user-defined list or summary report. The report is viewed in a Lookup task pane, which is presented when you select a range containing this function. It usually shows the list of codes and descriptions such as customer account names, vendor accounts, and item codes. Typically, the code that is selected and returned to the workbook is used in conjunction with other Atlas functions such as value and text as input. You can use this function to show a list of summary report from any table, and you can choose to return any attribute that makes sense to the report or query you are building. Use the lookup function if you wish to give the users a list of alternative valid inputs from which they can choose. Linked functions will recalculate dynamically when the selection is made. By default, the lookup is inserted as a placeholder defined by a name range. In this case, a formula function is not inserted, but instead, Atlas manages the lookup list whenever it detects that you are within that name range, allowing you to get a value from anywhere within that range. For example, when you're using Atlas to revise accounts in Dynamics CRM, you might use the lookup function to return all the account IDs and the account names to select from. Uses for the lookup function. The lookup function is not used in isolation. It is used in conjunction with other Atlas functions to form a report. Use the lookup function in the following instances: where you want a user to select one or more codes from a list of valid alternatives. When you want a user to select one or more codes from a list of valid alternatives. Where you want the output of another report to provide the user with an action list. For example, open customer balances for customers within a particular category or group. When you want to provide a dynamic lookup that changes when the values in the other cells acting as inputs also change. Where you want to get a valid value for a cell in a list or a range of cells. For example, a valid account in a general journal upload. Your objectives. Your task is to complete the report by adding a lookup function for the relationship type filter, providing the users of that report a choice when choosing the relationship type filter from a list of possible options. Your first step will be to build the lookup. On the second tab of your Workbook Dynamics CRM Introduction to Reporting, select the orange cell in E9. This will be your filter entry cell. From inside the Atlas ribbon, click New, and then select Lookup from your single cell function list, and then select Next. Select your data source, CRM 2015. Click Next. Select the Accounts table from your suggested list. From the Accounts table, search for the relationship type field by using the search. Tick to select the relationship type field, and then click Next. Click Next again, skipping the option to apply a filter to this query. Click Next. Click Insert. Your last action has now inserted a lookup into cell E9. There will be times that when you build a lookup, it will return showing more than one selection of the same type. There are a few reasons as to why this may occur that we will not cover in this lesson. How to fix this, however, is covered in the next steps. To reduce a lookup that contains more than one option of the same type, you simply need to add another field to the lookup and consolidate it. The field must be a numeric value. Click to select the cell you inserted your lookup into, cell E9. Click the plus icon to add another field to the lookup. From within the Accounts table, search for the Open Revenue field. Add the Open Revenue field by placing a tick in the corresponding box. Close the Add Fields property window. Right-click the Open Revenue field. From the list of options, hover over the Aggregate drop-down menu, selecting Count. Right-click the Open Revenue field. Again, this time select Visible, removing the tick, now hiding the field so that the information returned is not displayed in the lookup. Click Update. You will note now that the lookup only returns one value for each of the selectable options. Key points. Filters are defined in the Filters tab page. Filters apply a constraint to the records used by the reporting function. Filters can be applied to a report or a query. By default, the field upon which you could apply a filter is limited to the auto report group. You can add and subtract fields to the Filter Fields list by using the Fields button. Filter expressions use the same notion as that is used by Microsoft Dynamics CRM. You can source filter expressions from within the task pane as a literal value, a lookup function for a selected field. This will allow you to include ranges from your business systems into your filter. The document surface, such as a cell in Excel or a content control shape in a Word or PowerPoint respectively. Or the custom document properties. Consider using name ranges when the filter expression is sourced from the document surface itself. This makes the query portable. Fields from linked or main tables can be added to the filter field list and form part of the filter. For example, customer group added as a filter field to the customer invoice journal fields. A filter can be configured to be used with a lookup. Filters can also be applied to the query or the report. That concludes our lesson on filters and lookups. Sure does.